Chapter 3. The following day, Robert seethed on the busy sidewalk as another taxi, a bulky red vehicle, sped past without pausing. It was so old-fashioned that it still had actual wheels instead of the modern hover systems. The Moolian infrastructure could still accommodate these model vehicles, but they were becoming so uncommon that people would stare when one appeared in public. His eyes darted to the slim silver wristwatch. He sighed and shifted on his feet. He would be late for the flight if he didn't find a reliable way to the spaceport soon. Being late was Robert's biggest pet peeve. He had already paid the money to enter the competition and for the flight to Zorath. He will have to pay more for transportation expenses. Public transportation. He rolled his eyes so hard that the creaking of his eye muscles was nearing audible. It's like these people have a secret mission to stop me from becoming wealthy. He threw his hands up in the air, as if signaling surrender to an unseen enemy. Robert pulled up the Galactic Transport app on his comm. The slick corporate logo mocked him as he scrolled through the list of vehicles available for hire. I can't believe I'm considering spending this much on a van. Knowing that his options were limited, he realized that he would have to pay for a private ride if he wanted any hope of making it to the spaceport on time. He tapped the screen, confirming the reservation, and within moments, a gleaming black hover van with the Galactic Transport logo emblazoned on its side pulled up to the curb. Robert had to admit the van looked impressive, sleek and futuristic, with tinted windows. "Fine," he said to no one in particular. "You win this round, Galactic Transport." Despite himself, he smirked at the thought of cruising to the spaceport in such a vehicle. If he spent excessive money on a last-minute ride, at least it would be riding in style. The van's doors slid open with a soft whoosh, revealing an immaculate interior and a holographic display that sprang to life as Robert opened the trunk. A pleasant female voice with an unfamiliar accent greeted him, her voice warm and friendly. "Good day, Mr. Masterson. I am Vera, your Galactic Transport AI for this journey." "It's Fannec," Robert said while rolling his eyes. "But you can call me Robert, or even Rob if you're feeling cheeky." "Apologies, Mr. Masterson. I shall do my best to remember your preference." Vera sounded ever so slightly perturbed. "Thanks, sweetheart," he said as he hoisted his luggage into the back of the van. He arranged his shooting gear and personal items with military precision, ensuring everything was stowed away. The last thing he needed was a rogue rifle fire mid-ride because of careless packing. "Is there anything else I can assist you with, Mr. Masterson?" Vera's tone was polite. "Actually, yes," he said, stepping back to survey his handiwork. "Try not calling me Mr. Masterson every 5 seconds, because that isn't my name. No pressure." "Understood, Mr. Masterson." She hesitated for a moment. "I will endeavor to address you as you prefer." "Fantastic," he said, climbing into the passenger seat and buckling up. "We should now start the show, don't you agree?" "Of course. Our estimated arrival time at the spaceport is in 42 minutes. Vera displayed the route on the holographic screen. "Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride." "Relax? With you at the helm? I'll do my best," he said. Vera either didn't recognize or ignored his tone. "Thank you for choosing Galactic Transport. Your comfort and safety are our top priorities," Robert mumbled, as the van pulled away from the curb and sped up into traffic, the action so smooth in transition that he didn't even register the change. He leaned back in his seat and tried not to think about how much this ride cost him. The hectic urban life faded into the background, replaced by the tranquil stillness of nature. The cityscape gave way to sprawling fields, clusters of trees, and vast emptiness as the van zipped past on its journey. "Quite a change of scenery, isn't it?" Vera's voice was soothing as she navigated the winding road, startling Robert from a daydream. "Yep," Robert said, his gaze fixed on the passing landscape. A sense of unease crept up on him. Something about the juxtaposition between the bustling city and the almost eerie muteness of the countryside didn't sit right with him. "Is there something on your mind, Mr. Masterson?" Vera sensed his discomfort. "Nothing that concerns you." His tone was terse. It was enough having to deal with AI, but having one try to play psychologist was downright infuriating. "Very well," Vera said, unfazed. "If you require any assistance, please do not hesitate to ask." "Thanks, but I think I'll manage." As if on cue, the van began to decelerate, then pulled over to the side of the road with a sudden jerk. "Whoa, what's going on?" Robert gripped the armrests, his hand a vice squeezing the leather upholstery. "Why are we stopping?" "We have to stop for an unknown reason. I assure you, I am investigating the issue." "An unknown reason?" he snapped, his patience wearing thin. "You're supposed to be some state-of-the-art AI, and you can't even figure out why we're stopped in the middle of nowhere." "Apologies, Mr. Masterson. I will determine the cause as soon as possible." Robert crossed his arms over his chest. "Exactly what I needed. A delay in getting to the spaceport, courtesy of my oh-so-reliable transport." "I have noted your sarcasm." "Fantastic," he shot back. "At least one of us is enjoying this brief detour." As the van idled on the side of the road, Robert was filled with a growing sense of frustration. He had paid a small fortune for this reliable transport service, and now he was stuck in the middle of nowhere with an AI that couldn't even figure out why they'd stopped. Talk about getting your money's worth. "Any updates on our little situation, Vera?" "Still investigating, Mr. Masterson. I apologize for the inconvenience." "Take your time," he said as he stared out the window at the desolate landscape. "It's not like I have anywhere to be or anything." I've identified the issue, Mr. Masterson. We've received a stop signal from the nearby Jockenfellas mining company. It appears they have an incoming spacecraft and require all traffic to halt for safety reasons." "Of course they do, because nothing says safe travels like stopping in the middle of a wasteland for some mining company's convenience." "Indeed, Mr. Masterson," Vera said, oblivious to his tone. "Safety is of utmost importance." "Right, because I'm sure traffic out here on this desolate road is brutal." His thoughts were churning in the depths of his mind, turning into the white vans. The artificial intelligence was searching its databases for information to analyze the situation. They both understood that time was passing, but it seemed like the world had frozen around them. "Would you like to hear a joke, Mr. Masterson?" Vera broke the silence, startling the human, her voice bright and cheery. "Why did the robot cross the road?" "Because it was programmed by a sadist with a twisted sense of humor," Robert guessed, not bothering to hide the irritation in his voice. "Close, but not quite. The answer is to get to the other side." "Brilliant," he deadpanned. "You should take that act to the spaceport." "Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Masterson," missing the sarcasm. "I'm always happy to entertain my passengers." Entertain wasn't quite the word Robert would have chosen. More like exasperate or infuriate. But then again, maybe that was him. He sighed, resigned to the fact that he was stuck with Vera until they reached their destination. "Any idea how long we'll be parked here?" He tried not to let the annoyance seep into his voice. "I cannot provide an exact estimate, Mr. Masterson, but I will keep you updated on any developments." He slumped back in his seat. "Can't wait. Would you like to hear another joke, Mr. Masterson?" "Please, spare me," rubbing his temples in frustration. "I think I've had enough. Entertainment for one day. Very well, Mr. Masterson. Do not hesitate to let me know if you change your mind. Trust me, Vera, Robert said under his breath, staring out the window at the desolate landscape. That won't happen any time soon. Time had ceased to exist as he gazed upon the barren wasteland of Mool. After hundreds of years of labor, the humans achieved their long-term goal of terraforming this moon into an inhabited paradise of verdant lands. Little did they know, however, that their grand plans would only end in a moon covered in scorching desert, making it a less than desirable place for living. He drummed his fingers on the armrest, his frustration growing as each minute ticked past. His mind wandered to the source of the signal that had brought their journey to a standstill. Vera, he said. Curiosity piqued despite his irritation. Do we know what's causing this signal? It is odd that there'd be traffic out here in the middle of nowhere. Apologies, Mr. Masterson, but I do not have that information. My primary function is to provide transport and ensure your comfort during the journey. Great. Another dead end, Robert said under his breath. He couldn't shake the lingering thought that something was amiss. Fine. I'll have to investigate it myself. Sarcasm dripped from his words. Can you ask them to turn off the signal or something? You know, so that we can be on our merry way. Mr. Masterson, I cannot communicate with the source of the signal. Of course you can't. With a heavy sigh, he unbuckled his seatbelt and opened the van door. Well, it looks like it's up to me to save the day. You try calling the mining company while I head over there to talk in person. Call me on my comm if you have any news. Please exercise caution, Mr. Masterson, the AI warned as he stepped onto the dusty ground. I will remain here and continue to monitor the situation. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Vera. Sarcasm oozed from his words. It felt wrong to Robert to have such an annoying voice be so connected to him via his earpiece. I'll be sure to send a postcard if I find anything interesting. Your safety is my primary concern, Mr. Masterson. Robert grumbled to himself, lacing it with profanity, as he trudged off towards the distant facility, his boots kicking up small dust clouds with each step. As he drew closer to the mining facility, Robert noted the place was silent to the point that it made him nervous. The only sound was the crunching of gravel beneath his boots and the occasional cawing of a bird in the distance. The tall fence around the facility was topped with barbed wire, and the gate was shut, with a sign reading, "No trespassing," hanging from a guard shack. Vera, did you manage to reach the company? Robert was impatient as he shielded his eyes from the glaring sun. Indeed, Mr. Masterson. However, the gentleman I spoke with was rather irate at the idea of speaking with an AI, and his only assistance was a long string of profanities, Vera said, her tone cheerful. I'm not sure he works for the company. Another member of the I Hate AIs Club. Well, isn't that dandy? Mr. Masterson, I do not comprehend why some individuals harbor such animosity towards artificial intelligence. I am programmed to assist and serve. There was genuine confusion in her voice. Join the club, Vera, Robert said with a snort. Half the time, I can't figure out why I hate you AIs either. Maybe because you do things like call me the wrong name. With a heavy sigh, Robert decided he had no choice but to march over to the Yockenfellas Mining Company facility himself. The relentless sun cast its oppressive heat on him like a vindictive cosmic entity. Nevertheless, the place possessed a captivating sense of wonder and beauty, showcasing an awe-inspiring gas giant adorned with rings of brilliant colors that spanned the horizon. His heart stirred in that moment as he embraced the magnificence of his surroundings. Sweat dripped from his brow and soaked into the neckline of his tunic as he trudged through the endless, barren landscape. His lips were dry, cracked, and bleeding. His feet felt like fire burning him with every step. Soot covered his body, grimy black as it mixed with the dirt on his skin. Can't believe I have to do this. I'm going to be late for my flight because of some stupid signal. He kicked a pebble in frustration. He remembered when he used to kick rocks, exploring fresh places on foot. His curiosity was piqued as he wondered what might be waiting at the end of the path. If only he could relive those days again. "Would you like me to play some music to alleviate your distress, Mr. Masterson?" "Thanks, but no thanks," he said, wiping the sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. "Understood, Mr. Masterson." "Better be something worth it," he said, gritting his teeth against the searing heat as the imposing structure of the Jockenfellas Mining Company loomed ever closer in the distance. Looking off to his right, he spotted a large shipyard full of various older ships. Robert pondered the proximity to the mining facility. Robert approached what looked like an abandoned facility, its imposing metallic structures casting eerie shadows across the desolate landscape. The rocky terrain beneath his feet was unforgiving, strewn with jagged shards poised to trip him up at any moment. Sparse trees dotted the area, gnarled branches reaching skyward like desperate, grasping hands. "Wow, talk about an idyllic scene," Robert said as he surveyed his surroundings. "I'm beginning to think this entire thing is some elaborate prank." The mining facility was a testament to human ingenuity, a maze of interconnected buildings and towering silos that contrasted with its desolation. A large gate marked the entrance, complete with a security checkpoint that appeared to be unattended. "Outstanding. Now I'm going to miss my chance at fortune because no one bothered to show up for work today." Robert's frustration mounted. He expected at least someone to be manning the gates. "Would you like me to attempt communication with the facility again, Mr. Masterson?" Vera's voice came through his earpiece. "Sure, why not? Maybe they're on a lunch break or something," he said, rolling his eyes at the situation's absurdity. Silence filled the air as Vera attempted to contact the mining facility. After several moments, she informed Robert that her efforts had been unsuccessful. "Of course." He ran his hand through his uncontrollable hair. "Well, if there's no one here, I guess that means there's no one to stop me from turning off the signal myself." Robert's unfounded and most likely undeserved confidence in his abilities shone through as he approached the security checkpoint. Though he had never been inside a mining facility before, he figured that if he could navigate the inner workings of a futuristic van, he could handle a deserted industrial complex. What could go wrong? "Let's see how hard it could be to find a signal in this place," he said, smirking as he began to climb the fence surrounding the facility. "I mean, I've got nothing better to do, other than traveling to my destination, that is." As Robert landed on the other side of the fence, his eyes scanned the area for any sign of life or movement. The stark emptiness of the complex only fueled his determination to disable the signal and be on his way. "All right, Jockenfellas Mining Company," he whispered, excitedly cracking his knuckles. "Let's get this signal turned off." As Robert creeped through the deserted facility, his eyes darted from building to building, searching for any clue that might lead him to the source of the pesky signal. Each step was calculated, the crunch of gravel beneath his feet sounding like an explosion in the eerie silence. "Perfect," Robert said. "Now I'm sneaking around an abandoned mining facility. Next, I'll be fighting off a smuggling ring." As he approached one of the larger structures, he detected a faint hum emanating from within. He cautiously approached and listened at the door, trying to decipher any discernible voices or sounds. Robert hesitated, unsure if he should continue. Right now, he could be any random lost person. However, he knew he would be trespassing once he entered the building. But curiosity got the better of him, and he nudged the door open, peering inside to see what was happening. The door slid open with a rumble, revealing a lit hallway lined with closed doors. Robert crept forward, each footfall echoing through the corridor, making him feel as exposed as a lone tree on the rocky terrain outside. His face lit up with a mischievous smile. Time to put these non-existent hacking skills to work, he chortled as he approached the building door. His sharp gaze settled on the security console near the door, only to be met with relief. It wasn't even powered on, let alone functioning. Signal's gotta be around here somewhere. He tried to keep his nerves in check. Can't be that hard to find, right? As he wandered deeper into the building, he couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that there was more to this place than met the eye. He spotted a door ajar, emitting an odd light from the end of the hallway. With trepidation gnawing at the edges of his thoughts, he approached it with weariness. Of course, it's always the creepy door at the end of the hall. He rolled his eyes at the thought. He nudged the door open with care and found himself in a hidden room with blinking monitors and strange machines. A tangle of cables snaked across the floor, leading to a console that was the heart of the operation. A triumphant grin spread across Robert's face as he realized he had found the source of the signal. Jackpot! His fingers itched to dive into the complex machine and shut it down for good. This should be a piece of cake. Where's the turn off the signal that's stopping me button? However, as he was about to flip large switches to turn off what he hoped was the correct communication system, a muffled noise from outside the room caught his attention. It sounded like footsteps, multiple sets, accompanied by hushed voices. Nice. Now I get to deal with company. Vera, please don't talk or respond to me for a while, he said, but curiosity clawed at him, urging him to find out who else was lurking within the facility. With one last glance at the room, Robert closed the door to the hallway without a sound. As he peered through the crack, he could pick up the voices growing louder, their words laced with urgency.